The air, thick with the aroma of molasses, turned ominous. A low rumble, like a distant thunderstorm, echoed through Boston's North End. Then it hit. A wave of molasses 25 feet high surged through the streets. Buildings crumbled, people screamed, trapped in the sticky deluge. It was a disaster born of sweetness, a day when Boston drowned in molasses. The Great Molasses Flood of 1919 remains one of the most bizarre disasters in American history. A ruptured storage tank owned by the United States Industrial Alcohol Company unleashed a torrent of molasses onto an unsuspecting city. The sweet, sticky chaos left a trail of devastation, claiming lives and forever altering the landscape of Boston's waterfront. The disaster, as swift as it was unexpected, left an indelible mark on the city's psyche. The sights, the sounds, the sheer suffocating sweetness of the event would linger in the minds of Bostonians for generations to come. It was an unseasonably warm day for January. The temperature hovered around 40 degrees, a welcome respite from the New England winter. At the Purity Distilling Company plant, a massive steel tank filled to capacity with 2.3 million gallons of molasses groaned under the pressure. At precisely 12:41 p.m., the tank buckled. Witnesses described a deafening roar as the metal ripped apart, unleashing a wave of molasses that moved at an astonishing 35 miles per hour. The viscous tide, a blend of molasses and splintered steel, slammed into buildings, engulfing everything in its path. The wave, estimated to be 2 stories high, carried away people, horses, and even wagons. The air filled with the cries of the injured and the terrified. The sweet, cloying scent of molasses, once a comforting aroma, transformed into a harbinger of death and destruction. The scene that greeted first responders was one of utter chaos. Buildings lay in ruins, their frames twisted and broken by the force of the molasses. People, coated in the sticky goo, struggled to free themselves from the debris. The air hung heavy with the stench of molasses and the cries of the injured. Rescue efforts began immediately, hampered by the sheer volume of molasses that clogged the streets. Horses, trapped in the sticky mire, thrashed in panic, their hooves cemented to the ground. Firefighters, their boots sinking into the molasses, struggled to reach victims. The U.S. Navy dispatched over 100 sailors from the nearby Charlestown Navy Yard. Their arrival, equipped with shovels and stretchers, provided much-needed manpower to the rescue efforts. Hospitals overflowed with the injured, many suffering from broken bones, cuts, and respiratory problems from inhaling the molasses-laden air. Section 4. The explosion, a mystery in a tank. In the aftermath of the disaster, investigators struggled to understand what caused the molasses tank to fail. Theories abounded. Some speculated that the tank, hastily constructed during the war, was poorly built. Others whispered of sabotage, pointing to labor unrest at the plant. One prevailing theory focused on the unseasonably warm weather. The molasses, stored at a higher temperature than usual, may have fermented, producing carbon dioxide gas that increased pressure inside the tank. The weakened structure, unable to contain the pressure, ultimately gave way. Metallurgical analysis of the tank's remains revealed substandard materials and shoddy welding. It became clear that the tank was a disaster waiting to happen, a ticking time bomb in the heart of Boston. Section 5. Justice for the victims. The legal battle ensues. The disaster sparked a wave of lawsuits against the United States Industrial Alcohol Company, the tank's owner. Victims and their families, devastated by the tragedy, sought compensation for their losses. The company, however, denied any wrongdoing, claiming the explosion was an act of God. The legal battle dragged on for years. Expert witnesses were called upon to testify about the tank's construction, the properties of molasses, and the potential causes of the disaster. The courtroom became a battleground of science and speculation, each side vying for justice. In the end, the court ruled in favor of the victims. The company, found negligent in its maintenance and operation of the tank, was ordered to pay out over $600,000 in damages, a substantial sum at the time. Section 6. Whispers in the Molasses. Unanswered questions. Despite the legal resolution, the Great Molasses Flood continues to hold an air of mystery. Some believe the official explanations, while plausible, fail to account for the sheer scale and violence of the disaster. Was there more to the story than met the eye? Whispers persist of foul play. Some point to the timing of the disaster occurring just days before Prohibition was set to take effect. Could the tank have been sabotaged by those who stood to profit from the loss of a large quantity of molasses, a key ingredient in rum production? While these theories remain unproven, they add to the enduring mystique of the Great Molasses Flood. The disaster, a strange blend of the mundane and the catastrophic, continues to fascinate and haunt, a reminder that even the sweetest things can harbor danger. Section 7. The Legacy of a Sweet Catastrophe. The Great Molasses Flood left an indelible mark on Boston. The disaster, a stark reminder of the potential for industrial accidents, led to stricter safety regulations and building codes. The North End, once scarred by the tragedy, rebuilt, the memory of the flood woven into its fabric. Even today, almost a century later, locals claim they can still detect the faint scent of molasses on hot summer days, a phantom aroma that serves as a chilling reminder of the day Boston drowned in sweetness. The Great Molasses Flood, a bizarre and tragic event, remains etched in the city's history, a cautionary tale whispered on the wind.